Welcome to Swala Nyeti, the law podcast that pairs a layman and a lawyer to answer your legal questions of the day. Swala Nyeti is sponsored by the law firm of JKUAT and Company Advocates and is intended for educational purposes only.
Welcome to Season 2, Episode 2 of Swala Nyeti. I am the lawyer, aka Wakili.
And I am the layman, Gashao Patrick. Bwana Wakili, how have you been?
I've been good, Gashao. How have you been since yesterday?
Famous.
What's
Did you know that I've been famous because our video now has 2 likes? So we released our first video yesterday. It has been a hit, literally. It's been blowing people away, knocking them off their feet.
And those 2 people.
They just had come and like it. And with all this new found fame and fortune, I be having a press conference tomorrow to address the nation.
Clearly, fame has gone to your head. Yeah, so let's appreciate those 2 people who liked, and please, more people can go ahead and like and leave a comment on our YouTube video. Let us know what we can improve. It's the beginning of Swala Nyeti on video, but we are enjoying it so far. What do you have for us today to bring more likes?
This one, I bet you it's going to get more likes. So this is a long and short story of it. 2 students.
Yes.
In the name of Ann, Anthony. This is from Jomo Kenyatta University of Technology, a local university in Kenya.
Yes.
Are accused of having robbed NCBA Bank of 5 million Kenya shillings, and an additional account of having the intention to defraud them an extra 190 million, and they released on 500,000 bail. They were actually requesting that the bail should be lowered to 100,000 because they are students. And what I find most interesting is that Mwangi, one of the accused, had actually informed the bank via Twitter and had even gone to the bank and had appeared before an inquiry.
Okay.
So what have they done that is illegal?
Okay, I think I saw the story. It was quite prominent in several media outlets. And these 2 people, it seems like you said, they've been charged with 2 crimes. They've been charged with stealing, and they've been charged with a conspiracy to defraud.
Yes.
Okay, so I mean, what you're asking is essentially, is what they did a crime? Because as much as you've used the words rob, I think all this was happening digitally, either on the bank app, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, but I'm in awe because they couldn't even raise bail. Therefore, I tend to think they did not take the money out. It's digital money, they don't have it.
Okay.
And is that they informed the bank. So what's wrong with?
Okay, good. So why don't we do this? I mean, we've never had an opportunity at Swala Nyeti to talk about criminal offenses and criminal law. So today I think we get an opportunity. And let's start with this crime they have been accused of stealing. Because something you've said is a common misconception people have about stealing. That stealing necessarily means that you have taken something. And that's not necessarily the case. So
if I have not taken it, I have not stolen.
Just hold on. So let's start here. With any crime in Kenya, you would find normally, okay, there of course there are a few howevers, but normally there are 2 things. I'm not bringing the however right now, but there are 2 things which are usually there for any crime in Kenya. There's the actual act of the crime, and there is an intention, a criminal intention. So if we look at stealing, the crime of stealing,
yes,
there is the intention, okay? The intention of the person, the criminal intention of the person must be fraudulent, okay? And we'll talk a bit more about what fraudulent is in stealing. And then there is the act itself. And the act is that you either take or convert something capable of being taken when you have no claim of right over it. So if you fraudulently take or convert something capable of being taken when you have no claim of right over it, that is what is considered to be stealing. So now let's break it down. I can see you shaking your head, but hold on. Let's break it down. Let me give you a list. I know you like lists. So let me give you a list. The 5 things that the law considers to constitute the fraudulent intention, because we said the fraudulent intention must be present. So when it comes to stealing, there are 5. The first one is if your intention is to permanently deprive the owner of that item or that thing, then that is a fraudulent intention. So it means...
Hold on.
Yes.
I must intend not to return it. That's what you mean by permanent.
Correct. I mean, you're taking it and that is never coming back, That is usually what we most commonly think of when we think about stealing, right? Someone comes and, that day you're in the matatu, they take your phone and you never see it again. All right? Another one is if they are taking the item and intend to use it as a pledge, as a security to get a loan.
Okay. That
Mm-hmm.
you intend to use as collateral.
Exactly. Okay, that's a fraudulent intention. All these people who are one day, if you have teenagers in the house and then you find the radio is missing, and the next thing you know, at the pawnbroker's shop, your teenage boy has taken it and pledged it as security for a loan or something of that nature. That essentially is a fraudulent intention. Okay. Now the third thing is you take the item and you put a condition on the owner to return it, a condition which is pretty much impossible for them to accomplish. Okay. So, I mean, if I just thought about it fantastically, I would say, hey, Gashao, I take your phone. Okay. Then I say, if you want me to give you this phone back, you have to sing the national anthem backwards.
That's what I can do.
That's what you can do. Okay. So if you can do it, then it's not a fraudulent intention. But you find this usually happens when the 2 people, there's a difference in their power. Okay. So you'd find someone who is more powerful take something and says, the only way I'll give this back is if you accomplish some other task. But that task is either so difficult or almost impossible to do that essentially it is as if you've been permanently deprived of that item.
There was a case like that in the Bible of King. I read my Bible. He took somebody's wife.
Yeah.
Put the guy in the front line to fight the battle. So he's hoping that guy does not come back.
So that could constitute stealing, right? Because there's a fraudulent intention. So the fourth thing is if you take something and when you take it, you use it in a way that it cannot be returned in the same state.
So if I take my neighbor's chicken and I wash it with hot water, it seems impossible to return it the way it was. That's what you mean.
Well, that's a really weird example, but yeah, I mean, we're looking at your intention. Remember, I
was intending to eat the chicken, we share it with the neighbor.
Yes.
This is chicken.
But,
he just wants me in the process.
Exactly. So if you're taking something and the reason you took it is that, I mean, even if you took it to wash it with hot water, that constitutes stealing, because even if you gave back your neighbor, that chicken is never going to be the same again.
Now it has no feathers now.
No, it has no feathers. So that is stealing. It can be as simple as, I'm seated next to you and you've just opened a bottle of soda and I swipe it and I take a sip and I return it to you. Still, that's stealing, because there's no way that soda would be the same as before I took that sip.
I don't know if women will agree that one.
That's your wife, so that one is allowed. Now, the fifth one relates to money. And this is the one many people get surprised to find out. Because when it comes to money, if someone takes money and they use it, even though they return it, even if they return the full amount of money, as long as they have taken it without your consent and they return it, even if it's the full amount, then that constitutes a fraudulent intention. Okay? And
that one we have refused.
Now, let me tell you how it can work. Let's say, simplest one, I send you to the shop. Gashao, why don't you go and get me some Or no,
Yeah.
no, better yet, I'm using you as a courier. So I tell you, here is this money. I would like you to deliver it to someone else. But along the way, you're like, you know what? I see something nice which I like. Let me buy it. Then when I get to wherever I'm going, I'll just go to the ATM. I withdraw some other money and pay it off. That period of time, when you use that money, that is fraudulent intention. That constitutes stealing. So
that was the unfairly.
Well, but that's the law. So even if you're saying these young men from JKUAT returned the money or did not take any money,
A lady and a gentleman, by the way.
the lady and the gentleman, yes. So even if that's what happened, if they used the money without any claim of right, then that constitutes stealing. So
because this is digital money, you understand, Wakili, like it's not, they didn't take anything, so to speak. Yeah, there's nothing, So it's an SMS.
Okay. The facts of the case are not very clear because I have seen what they've been accused of, but more will be revealed once the case is being heard on trial. But it's something interesting you've raised because if you look at the law, when it talks about what can be stolen, the law says that anything which is capable of being moved can be stolen.
And that being moved?
Yes. If you want to define what can be stolen, because not everything can be stolen. So anything which is capable of being moved can be stolen. And the question would arise, is digital money capable of being moved? So can it be stolen? But before you get any ideas, remember when I gave the definition of stealing, I told you it's whether you take or convert anything capable of being stolen. So it's both taking and conversion. Now, when it comes to conversion simply means you use something in a way which is against the rights of the owner. Even if you return it in the same state it was, but you're using it in a way that is against the rights of the owner. And I'll give you an example. So let's say you have a car hire company and you hire out a car to someone. He's supposed to return it in 3 days. But instead of returning it in 3 days, he calls you on the third day and tells you, oh, I'm stuck somewhere, but I'll bring it back tomorrow, an extra day. And it's not that he's paying, and it's not that you've agreed, because you probably had another client. That usage of your property, which is against your interest, constitutes conversion. That's actually a criminal offense. That's what conversion is. So conversion can apply as well to money. I mean, even if you go and you steal your neighbor's Wi-Fi, that's conversion. For those people who like using and guessing the passwords to their neighbor's Wi-Fi, you guess that it's his first child's birthday and you get it right. If he takes you to court, you can be charged for a criminal offense of conversion. So keep in mind that
first, the easiest thing, the funniest thing about Wi-Fi is that the block you live in, that's how you know one of every house. The Wi-Fi is in their names. That's this is the one name, or you come from this house. Okay. Yes. Wakili, there's an issue I want to pay attention. This person,
yes,
Anthony, went to the bank and told them that their banking system had a problem.
Yeah.
How can you accuse him of stealing when he already warned you are going to lose money?
Those two things don't have to be mutually exclusive.
I tell you, I'm going to come and take your nothing. So I don't think them being categorized as thieves is a bit, it's pushing the envelope. They are showing the bank what might happen if you don't fix this thing. For all we know, it could even be a class assignment.
That being the case, remember what I said. When it comes to money, or when it comes to stealing, they look at intention and they look at the act. So the act, if the money moved from one place to another, if it was converted, they've met that criteria. When it comes to intention, I've told you, when it comes to money, if they take the money, even if they returned it in full. So let's say, I don't know what happened in this case, but assuming they went and they managed to move around some money from one account to another and they returned it, and then they alerted the bank to the security flaw, that still fits the definition of a fraudulent intention.
Wow. And is hacking a crime in itself?
So I've seen that the reports call them hackers. And of course, the crimes they've been charged with are not hacking crimes, but they are hacking crimes which are covered under the data protection laws and the cybercrime laws. But in this case, that doesn't appear to be the charges. So it might be the newspaper which is just using the term hacking in a generic manner. But of course, I think there's something which for me stood out. They've been charged with two offenses. They've been charged with stealing, but they've also been charged with conspiracy to defraud. And this to me stood out because they weren't charged with defrauding. Okay, so when it comes to the act, if you look at what conspiracy to defraud is, it includes several things. And one of them is that you organized with other people to extort another person so that they can pay you money. So that's one of the things which are considered under conspiracy to defraud. Now, here I'm just going out on a limb and saying if someone had written to the bank and said, you know what, you guys have a security flaw and we have access to your systems, and unless you pay us X amount of shillings, then we shall exploit this security flaw, or we shall let all your customers know about this security flaw. So that would be an attempt to extort. But these two have not been charged with extortion. They've been charged with conspiracy to defraud, which means it is not them who wrote to the bank and said that they did not make any written demand to the bank, most likely. But it could be that there were other people who made a written demand, and because of that written demand that the other people made, then they're being included in the same category.
Wakili, this is a bit too harsh. These are students. They were about to sit exam. They are 23 and 21 years old. In any other country apart from Kenya, this would have been almost treated like a heroic act. They already warned the bank that there was an issue with their system. And this bank goes ahead and sues them. And you'd think that these are people we should employ, to help you deal with that issue. And now here you go ahead and sue them. And they didn't take the money because they cannot even raise, according to the case, they were unable to raise bail money needed. I think we are handling this the wrong way.
Well, let me say this. When it comes to the criminal offense, the law does spell out what needs to be there for a crime to have been committed. And if the state can prove beyond reasonable doubt that the act was committed and the intention was there, then they would be rightfully convicted of that offense of stealing. But I've looked at what they've been accused of with respect to the conspiracy to defraud. And since even in the charge, you hear that with other persons who are not in court, they were being charged with other persons who are not in court. It's likely that they were just the unlucky and unfortunate members in something else, something bigger. So let's see what happens. But either way, now we are clear that stealing money, even if you're returning it, is still stealing.
Wow, man. There you have it. If somebody sends you and you use that money to fuel your car, and then you go to the bank and get the money, you are a thief. That is the moral of the story. Other than that, remember, the other four things Wakili mentioned, that if you take something and return it in a different state, or you give a condition in which somebody cannot fulfill, or you take something and use it as collateral, or lastly, your intention was to steal, then you are a thief, unfortunately. In any case, I would like to see how it goes. And from us on Swala Nyeti, thank you for joining us. And from me, on behalf of Swala Nyeti, goodbye.
Goodbye.
You have been listening to Swala Nyeti. Special thanks to our layman, Gashal Patrick, and our lawyer, Harry Karanja. If you have a legal question that you want answered, send us a WhatsApp message on 0708 111 222 or email us at admin@swalanyeti.org. You can find downloads to all our podcast episodes on our website www.swalanyeti.org.